Hi everyone and welcome to this episode of KWC. It is now time for Kopi with Chris. And before I introduce my Kopi Kakis for this episode, I'd like to say again a very, very big thank you to the good people from Kaki. Thank you so much for my Kopi Si Kosong today. And everyone ought to head down. I was there just this past weekend at Kaki at AMK Hub. 53 Ang Mo Kio Avenue 3, Basement 1, Units 51B and C. And it was a fantastic experience. Thank you, Kaki, for looking after me yesterday as well. It was a great, great time. And now, back to this episode. I have two wonderful people with me. Why wonderful? Because they kept up this idea. I must put it on the right side, because this side, this gentleman on my right, he is Felix Cheong. And he gave us this wonderful book called Letter to My Son. And on my left, I have Theresa Tan, who gave us this wonderful book, Letter to My Daughter. And you know what? You ought to get them. We'll give you the links at the end of the show. But I'd like to tell you how I came across. I got to say this, I'm not being biased. Theresa, I'm not being biased. Letter to My Son. Because Felix called me and asked me to contribute to this book. Yeah, I've actually got something published in here. Oh my. My sister couldn't believe it. But anyway. Yeah. And I have a letter to my son inside this book as well. And it was fantastic because I actually had an idea to do something like that, but never got around to it. As most dads go, we procrastinate all the time. Until Felix gave me a call and said, can you write something for your boy? And got me started, got me going. So it's been great, really. And I read it, and I read some more letters in this book, and they're really, really great. So now I'd like to ask Felix, later I'll come to you, Theresa, to introduce himself to everyone.
Hello, I'm Felix Cheong. I'm an author. I've published 18 books across different genres, from poetry to short stories to children's picture books. And I've also edited this recent anthology called Letter to My Son, which we compiled over 6 to 7 months.
Wow, that long?
Yes. Well, you have to wait for people to respond to you, and then you have to collect, you have to edit, put it together. Like this guy, I had to chase him a couple of times.
No lah.
Yes,
I wasn't
did.
that bad lah. I wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
Really? Was I? Really? No,
you did send it in on time.
I did send it on time. As a matter of fact, I sent it way before time.
So you were one of the better ones.
Okay.
But there were a few stragglers who I needed to press the thumb on in order for them to finally submit.
Okay, but I'm glad it's done because it's a real beautiful compilation of letters here. It really is. And Theresa, tell us more about you.
I'm not as accomplished as Felix, I'm afraid. Actually, we know each other from way back.
Way back.
We were in NUS at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, walking the same halls. Yeah. I am a mother of 3.
Okay.
I think that's my biggest accomplishment. I was a magazine editor for many years, for Female, and then for Elle, and then for Vanilla. Currently, I run my own agency called Word Agency. We do a lot of work for various people. I've also worked on some books, not as many as Felix. I wrote my own book actually in 2013 because I had breast cancer in 2010.
Okay.
So actually that's my only book with my name on it apart from this one. So that's called A Clean Breast. And then Marshall Cavendish actually called me to say, hey, Felix is doing this, you want to do it or not? So I went, okay. If Felix is doing it, okay, I'll do it. Yeah.
Okay.
And not to forget that Theresa also used to write plays.
Yes.
You've written 2 plays? 3?
What?
A few.
Can you name those plays? Some of those plays.
My first one was called Pistachios and Whipped Cream.
Okay.
That won the national.
Sounds delicious.
It's actually not.
Pistachios and whipped cream.
Yeah, I was 19 when I wrote it, so it was about 2 girls in a dorm room.
Wow, you were 19 when you wrote.
Yeah, so that won like the national short play competition, which kind of catapulted me into playwriting. not very good. Some of my works are not very good, but I think theatre works was very instrumental in giving me a leg up.
So it was
I
if theatre worked.
I worked with theatre works for a while for the first Writers Lab, and then after that, I didn't write for a number of years. Then finally, I did I wouldn't call it writing. I did a workshop play with the Necessary Stage called "Excuse Me While I Kiss the Sky," and that one means a lot to me because it was about basically we invited young people who had experience with suicide. So they came and they shared their stories, and then I was just thinking about it. I'm so proud that today, as we are sitting here, I still know so many of them and they're alive. So so that meant a lot to me.
So it's been gratifying to.
Yeah.
So Felix, you said too little.
Too little.
Theresa said so much. Can you tell us more? You're teaching now.
I'm teaching. I'm teaching part-time at various institutions.
Okay.
So
What do you teach?
I teach journalism,
Uh-huh.
and I teach creative writing
Okay.
and communication studies.
Okay. And are you a dad?
I'm a dad of a 25-year-old who's just finished his law degree and currently doing his bar exams.
Wow. In Hokkien, we call this someone like him what? You know, homia.
Nah,
Yeah, homia already.
not quite there yet.
Hello, son's 25.
Well, until I can withdraw my CPF, then it's really home, yeah.
Wouldn't that be coming anytime soon?
Well, I did pass my 55th birthday just 2 months ago.
Okay.
So I can
There we
legally
go.
withdraw some money.
Here we go. There we go. So, okay, homia already lah.
Well, give and take.
So can you tell me, what was your motivation for putting these books together? Theresa.
I guess I always actually, right, when I was approached with the idea, I was actually writing out a structure for a book I wanted to write for my kids, which has not gone anywhere. So it has been on my mind to leave something behind for my children because they don't actually listen to you. So if you put it down in writing, they might at some point.
Wait, I stop you there.
Yeah.
How old are your kids?
21, 19 and 14.
Wow, talk about homia. This one also homia.
No lah, 真惨的。
I mean, okay, they're not that young,
Yeah.
They've reached such an interesting age.
Yes, actually.
Isn't it?
That's true,
Yeah. Yeah.
But also at the age when they're a bit rebellious.
I think
18, 19,
improving.
21? Rebellious?
Improving, yeah. I think the worst were the tween years, the worst.
The teen years, huh?
Tween, not quite a teen.
What's a tween? What's that?
11, 12.
How come I don't?
13.
I'm a dad of an 11-year-old. I've never heard of this term called
you
tween.
will.
Call me a
You
noob.
will. Next year. Your
He's
turn.
11 now. There's no need to wait till next year. He's 11 now. No, I'm having a great time with my son. Yeah, as a matter of fact, he listens. I don't have a single rebellious issue with my son.
Wow, that's so good.
None,
That's
zero.
good. Touch
So
wood.
good, yeah.
Really zero. I'm not bragging, but that's why I'm curious. What's this tween thing? Never heard of it. Maybe ignorance is bliss, but I don't have an issue with my boy. Not at all. No, he comes back home. He diligently opens his school bag after he showers and has his lunch, and then he does his homework that he's got to do. No.
Actually, yeah. Now that you mention it, my son's really easy. My son doesn't give me any problems.
And there she goes talking
not
about
any,
tween years.
Not any.
No problems, but very, very few compared to the girls.
Okay. So, the boy was actually a good kid compared to the girls.
Well, he's
I would
more
never expected that.
traditional. He's more traditional. He's more like
Is he
you say,
the eldest?
come back, open, yes.
Is the
open
eldest?
Bag, check for homework,
No
help
wonder.
the sisters.
Between of three kids, I've always wanted to understand because I'm a father of one.
Yeah.
You're a dad of one. Okay. So since you got three,
Yes.
the government loves you, like sure one.
Yeah, don't pay taxes, so yes, praise the Lord.
You must have gotten the baby bonus way back.
Yes.
Ah.
Actually, very good. It really helped. I have to say,
Okay.
really helped.
So tax breaks are great as well, right? So is the middle child a problem? The biggest problem?
She's the most challenging, but also the most interesting. Yeah. She's the most like me. Oh no, is this going on air?
Yeah, it is going on air. It is going on air. And you notice
Can I tell you something very creepy?
Sure, please.
Right, I see what she wears, Do you remember how I used to dress in NUS?
Yes, yes.
It's carbon copy, you know, but she has never seen my pictures
Oh,
at all. I'm like, it's genetic. You know,
so you
her
can
choices.
inherit your fashion sense.
It's so scary. Fashion sense, music sense, the things she's interested in. The
Yeah, how about you? You middle child.
No, I'm the older.
I'm a middle
Just
child.
two of us, yeah.
Oh, you're the eldest as well. So if you're
No,
the
he's middle child.
Middle
I'm
child.
oh, you're middle child.
Yeah.
Okay, but did you give your folks problems?
Not as far as I can remember. I was rebellious in my own way, but I wasn't a problem kid. I mean, I didn't come home with tattoos and everything else. But
Coming home with a tattoo means you're a problem kid, lah.
well, I'm a problem kid now. I have a tattoo. In my ripe old age, I've gotten a tattoo when I was 45.
Yeah, I mean, I got my tattoo in my 30s. Yeah, in my 30s and in my 40s as well. This one came in my 40s. Yeah, my first one is when I was 32, I think 31, 32.
We call that a midlife crisis.
Very much a crisis. I can understand. But you're saying that your middle child's a lot like you, huh? So it's genetics.
Yeah. Don't tell her.
Well, she's going to be watching the show, right?
I'm not telling her about it.
Don't worry about it. It's going to be splashed everywhere. Everywhere your kids go on the web, they go, oh, my mommy's on something. You know, yeah, it's going to happen. Trust you me. Anyway, I didn't digress because we are going to be talking about parenting. We're going to be talking about kids. Right? This is what the purpose of what you guys have done. And I asked about your motivation. Can we come back to that again? I'm sorry to have to. Yeah.
I think that it is good. Okay, what really, I guess what sparked off this whole thing was when I thought about moms I have met who've always said to me, man, I wish I could just write something and leave my daughter something, you know. And then there was okay, it wasn't quite in the same vein, but it was also very inspiring when Victoria Beckham wrote a letter to her 18-year-old self, which is a very good letter. If you can, you go Google and read it. It's
She
very,
can
very
write?
good. She can write. She
really?
writes brilliantly and wittily, so you wouldn't expect it, right?
A Spice Girl can do that, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was working, I was actually thinking about that, thinking about the stuff. What would you tell your daughter in a letter that you wouldn't ordinarily, on a normal day, talk
express.
to her about? Yeah, because it would be too embarrassing, or you might burst into tears, or she might ask you a lot of questions you don't want to answer. So a letter is a very safe one-way street.
Okay.
So that was actually the motivation. I was interested in hearing what moms of like whole spectrum, would tell their daughters. So that's what I started out doing. I started looking for the people I felt were not quite the same, like people who would give me a very different viewpoint of parenting. I think I've achieved it. I was very pleased with the stories that came back. I know some people expected to be asked, but weren't, and I'm very sorry. Maybe book two.
But it's interesting you said it's a one-way street, so it's a safe route. How do you feel about that, Felix?
Well, for me, the motivation came from after reading my late father's.
Yes, I read your forward.
messages.
It was so touching. Yeah.
Yes.
Please tell everyone the story.
So what happened was my father was admitted to hospital sometime in December last year, and this was just a week after the U2 concert.
Yeah. Okay.
And my mother had been admitted just a few days before him, and both were down with pneumonia.
Both of them, huh?
Both of them were down with pneumonia.
Wow, what are the odds?
At the same time, what are the odds? So both were warded at CGH, Changi General Hospital, but my dad took the brunt of the illness.
The illness, yeah.
And he started getting very short of breath, and by the time we admitted him, it was his oxygen level in his lungs had dropped to about 60%, and that was a critical bit away from the lungs totally collapsing.
Sure.
So he was immediately warded in the high dependency ward, and the doctors told us to prepare, to make sure that we rally the family around him. But I was still a bit thinking that he could pull through. And by that time he was admitted, he couldn't speak anymore. So he started writing all these little notes.
Started scribbling.
Yeah, started scribbling on the back of recycled paper,
Right.
and to tell the ward staff what he wanted, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started also scribbling little notes to me,
Sure.
instructions like paying the domestic helper, her salary, how much to give
Oh,
her,
wow.
and then even give the PIN number for his ATM card, and giving us last messages. So I wish that when he was in a better state, that he could have written me such a letter, not the last few days of his life.
Mm-hmm.
So I was still hoping that he would pull through.
Mm-hmm.
But by the 5th day, when I went down to see him, doctor said that he was ready to be discharged to a normal ward. And they thought that his condition was improving. So I said, fine, I went home.
Okay.
And 2 hours later, the hospital rang me, said, you better come down, he's not going to make it.
He deteriorated despite the fact that they told you that they were moving
Yes,
into a
exactly.
general
I
ward.
suppose
Okay.
that's when you think the condition is about to improve, that's when it suddenly takes a dive.
Yep.
That
Yep.
often happens.
Yeah.
So by the time I reached the hospital, I didn't even see him one last time.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, it's okay. It's been almost a year.
And those scribblings that your dad gave you, that was
I
a
still keep
motivation.
them. Those were his last words, and he had a very nice cursive handwriting.
Oh,
like
the older folks
very
had
old
that.
school.
Yeah, the older folks. My dad's handwriting was also amazing.
I think most of that generation
Yeah.
were trained in writing properly.
Yeah. Penmanship.
Penmanship, yes. So I remember I used to get my knuckles hit by my
Smacked.
teacher, smacked with a ruler if I didn't pay attention to my penmanship. So my dad had very nice cursive handwriting, and you could tell that his handwriting was deteriorating because of his condition. He couldn't write clearly
Yeah.
and coherently, but he was still struggling to tell us things that he wanted to tell us that he couldn't face to face
Yes.
because he knew he was on his last legs. So I wish that he had written me a proper letter before,
Right.
and that was the driving force behind this book.
But Theresa said something interesting. She said, mothers have come to you, and that they've always felt they want to write something to their kids, right? Well, just to let you know, it's not just mummies who feel that way, daddies feel the same way.
think so.
So my motivation was that I wanted to always write to my son. So it was really funny timing, that I've been procrastinating on that. And then Felix calls me up and he said, can you write something for you? Wow, write something for your boy. So I was, wow, what are the odds? The timing was like just there, I said, okay, I'll get it done. So I really didn't sit on it, that time around. I did not sit on that. But he said, Theresa said that it is a one-way affair. So parents write it down so you don't get any arguments, I would suppose. Yeah, no debates coming in. What do you think? Do you think the same way that it's a one-way street, so therefore it's okay? You just write a letter to your kid. Do you feel the same way?
Well, I suppose the child reading the letter would respond in some way.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. So whether it's keeping quiet about it, like your son did after reading your letter, just
Yeah, he did.
internalizing
He
it.
did. We spoke before we started the shoot that my son last night the book arrived, and I gave it to my son. I said, "Read my letter to you," and he sat there very quietly. I posted it on Facebook and Instagram. He was sitting behind me, took a Wi-Fi, and he was reading the book, and he was very silent, very silent. Then the only thing he said to me, okay, he did say something, "Daddy, why are there so many bad words in there?"
Were they bad words? I don't remember.
You would not believe how squeaky clean my boy is. My kid. So I wrote 10 things in there that says, what does it take to be a real man? What is a real man? So there are 10 things in there. And in one I said, you reach a stage where you're going to be really stupid. And that's his adolescent years. And and to him, stupid's a bad word. And then after that I said, whatever it is, even one day, as you get older, sometimes you'll behave like an idiot. And he says, idiot's a bad word. And that's how squeaky clean he is.
That's a goody two shoe, all right.
Oh,
You brought him up well. Model citizen.
You have
Way
to
too
prepare him from
innocent.
NS, okay?
Way too innocent. Oh, I think he will be. As a matter of fact, I'm beginning to. And to get him in tune is, look, it ain't so bad to say stupid, or stop being an idiot. It's a proper term. Idiocy is a proper term.
Yeah.
That's
That's what we often use to describe Donald Trump.
Oh, yes. Well, I say worse things about him, but I won't repeat it here. Because I've got two very learned people here, so I shall refrain from my colorful language for this episode, as promised. Yes. So I call Donald Trump worse things. Anyway, so I read your foreword, and what you've just described about what happened with your dad. What do you think a role of a mom and dad truly is? Why is it important?
You first.
Me. All right, I suppose the mom and dad, the main role is to bring up the child, invest the child in some values, a value system,
Okay.
so that it gives him a backbone to survive in the world, so that it gives him a heart, so sort of bring everything to make him a fuller human being.
Do you think you've done a good job?
For my son,
Yes, of course. Your
yes,
dad.
definitely. I think he has my sense of humor. We both enjoy, say, Monty Python.
Really?
For me, the definition of a good sense of humor is, if you don't enjoy Monty Python, that's it.
Oh boy. Okay.
You're out of my phone book, out of my Facebook.
And Faulty Towers?
40 Towers, anything with John Cleese, definitely a yes.
I thought so.
Yep.
All right.
So he has my sense of humor. He enjoys more or less a similar kind of music as I do. For example, he loves Pink Floyd.
Really?
Yeah. So he loves concept albums. So for someone of his generation to listen to concept albums in this day and age, that's amazing.
Yeah.
He doesn't go to Spotify. He doesn't like rap. He doesn't like most of Beyonce.
So do you think music falls into the category of values as well?
Well, in a sense, it's the externalization of your values, what you listen to. The kind of music that you pick up on is also a kind of a reflection of your own values.
Okay. Thank you. And how about you, Theresa? What do you think? Role of the mom.
Okay, I can say anything, right?
Sure. Let
Okay,
it fly.
I-
Let it fly.
I think being a Christian, I feel that the role of the parent, whether you're a mom or a dad, is really to steward this person that you've been given to look after. So a lot of the time, actually, it freed me a lot when I realized actually I'm not ultimately responsible for what my kid does. God is. So if they mess up, ding dong, I need help. So I think while we have stewardship over them for the length of our life, we have to give them, I think as Felix says, a sense of values.
Yep.
Of course, protect them, physically,
As much as you
mentally, as much as you can. With internet, is actually a very difficult job. But I think also to give them room to know that they can be their own person. I think that has probably been the biggest struggle for me with my kids, because they come back with people telling them, no, you should. It's always you should, or you. Why aren't you? Always these things, and they come back. Why aren't I like this or that, or skinny, or good at this or that? I'm like, who said you had to be? You are you, and that's it. And I would like to believe that we have given them enough confidence to be that, which is why my middle one has turned out like this, and my son is. The three of them are very different.
Okay.
So my son is he's into all things Japanese. So he's been taking Japanese exams.
Japanese exams.
I know.
For the language, you mean?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's in computing now. He's in
Okay.
School of Computing at NUS, but like he'll do stuff like that. He'll just do. I don't know. Neither my husband and I, we are like, look at him and like.
So is he
"Where
into
did this one come
anime,
from?"
manga?
He enjoys watching it, but I find him very unusual because he would take the sensibility from an anime, the storytelling from that, and then he
The
will
anime.
watch a movie with me and go, that's such crap. I'm like, why? He goes, did you listen to, are you hearing the script? It's so badly written. I'm like, excuse me, sorry.
How old is he again?
21.
21.
Yeah.
Funny, my son has been having conversations similar to that with
Yeah.
me now, 11. Did you hear that, Daddy? Does it make sense to you? Okay. And over football, more often than not. Over
Yes,
football,
yes.
His thing is football and wrestling. Yeah, and music. I mean, it's so funny because, like you, with your boy, it was Pink Floyd, right? And you won't believe this, but when we were expecting him, we put headphones on my wife's belly, right? And we were playing Def Leppard.
Def Leppard. Oh my God.
We were playing Def Leppard. We were playing Guns N' Roses. And then, when he was 2 years old, and we were, but in those days, my wife used to have to travel up to Jakarta quite a lot. Sometimes, not being mainstream in education yet, he was still in kindergarten, right? I would take him up with me and join up with her in Jakarta. So we'll be in a hotel, in the hotel room, and he's got his cans on and is listening to Spotify. And
At 2 years old.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And word for word, he would sing Pour Some Sugar on Me, Def Leppard. He would sing Don Henley's Boys of Summer,
Oh, I
word
love that
for
song.
word, Broken Wings, Mr. Right? And he would just go on and on and on.
And he knew the words by heart. Oh, that's amazing.
So because it started in my belief is, it started when we started doing that stuff, when he was still, inside his mommy. And we put cans on
He
her belly.
memorized the lyrics.
Yes.
Wow.
And I sent him to school. I've been sending him to school since nursery till now. Okay, it's my precious time with my son, and he knows that it's precious for him too, being with me. So during the years when I was sending him to kindergarten, he would go, okay, he'll connect Bluetooth to my phone. At that time, he didn't have a phone yet. Of course, too young, right? And he would go to his playlist, and he'll start playing old stuff. I mean, for me, it's not old. For the younger people, it's really old, Things like Summer of '69, Jack and Diane, and he would just go, he'll sing. He'll sing along. So, but today, of course, naturally, he's very much in touch with what's current, so as well, So it's been like that, and I understand completely. And there's a lot of things that that parents. I won't leave my wife out of this. Being his mom, they share music too. I think it's a wonderful way of being with our kids. Yeah, music really joins people and families together, in my opinion. Yeah.
That's how I often connect with my son. So when I have lunch with him, we'll talk about music, we talk about movies, we talk about comic books. So it's about connecting to them at that level.
At that level,
So that
Yeah.
they can feed back to you
Yeah.
what their values are, what they feel about certain things.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, especially among men, we don't want to talk about the touchy-feely things.
Really?
Emotions and
Really?
stuff like that.
How about you? What do you think about
I'm
that?
a mom. We talk about touchy-feelies.
Yeah. Okay, but how about your husband? Does he talk the dad? Does he
Yes,
talk
so-
touchy-feely with them?
Sometimes. I think, with the son, it's mostly football. But they do have interesting conversations about politics, actually, strangely. So he would, because my daughter, actually my middle one is quite interesting. My older two will talk about politics.
Okay.
And I remember the two that would stay up and wait for the
Election
like,
results.
yeah. And we're like, and then we get this, mom, guess
Really?
which one? And I'm like,
Really?
good bit.
Okay, man. Politicians in the making in your household.
Yeah, but back to touchy-feely.
Yeah.
He does actually. My husband's quite a you've met him. Yeah, he's quite in touch with his feelings person. So he does talk about stuff. I guess it got better. It got more so when I had cancer, and he had to be mom to them as well. So yes, he's quite good with that. So he would be the encourager and yes, you can. Who says you can't? Of course you can. and stuff. Yeah, so.
Well, that's a dad. How about you? Are you touchy-feely with your boy?
When we were younger, when he was younger, yes, I would talk more about emotions with him. But I noticed more recently he kind of fights shy of talking about touchy-feeling things. So we stay on this core range of topics like politics. So I also talk to him a lot about politics, what he's doing in school, and music. And of course now he has a girlfriend, so talking about getting the BTO, the whole rite of passage.
Oh, okay.
BTO lah.
Whoa, it's happening soon.
Yeah, happening soon.
Oh, it's happening soon.
It's coming. whether
It's
you
on
like
the
it or
way,
not.
man. Get ready for it.
Yep.
Kaboom,
Oh,
boom.
but congrats. That's good.
But I am very touchy-feely with my son. Every single day, as he gets out of the car, and he's getting older and older. But since he was very small, we have this little thing. We will do this. Every single time, every time. Yeah, for years we've been. But of course, when we're in our own private, space, the I love yous, I miss you, will always be there. The hugs will always be there, But he talks to me, shares stuff with me that's definitely different from what he would share with his mommy. I would share with my mom different stuff that I would never talk to my dad about, But I will talk to my dad about stuff that's equally important. So, I've always joked with my friends, and I've always said that the moment you become a dad, the son, the son-in-law, the husband, the brother, is the pariah in the corner of the house. You are invisibility. Nobody cares about you. Then as the years progressed, I started to realize, actually, the roles of dads are very important. I was just sharing with Felix that the things I said to my son, surprisingly, he holds it dear. He always keeps quiet. He's been keeping quiet about things I've said. He'll keep quiet about it. He'll internalize the whole thing. And then a couple of years later, I talk to him, and then he starts bringing things up that I've mentioned to him years ago. And I go, and I start to realize that, hey, he's been keeping the messages, not that he hasn't. So it's the roles of dad. I think it's a lot more. Pardon me for saying this. No disrespect to moms, but it's kind of like sacred. When Daddy says something, it's sacred. And when I read one or two. I mean, this arrived to me last night, and I read some, and I read what the other dads say. And it's not far different from what I would say. It wouldn't be that far different, really. So, it's great. I mean, I think this is a great idea. Now, when it comes to, again, back to parenting, do you think moms and dads today in our society, are they really playing their roles right?
Wow, tough call, judgment call, man.
No, it's opinions, please.
I think that I feel that a lot of people enter into marriage unprepared for the long haul, and I think that's very sad. And you see, and I see a lot of people who get divorced and tell me, "Don't worry, my children are very mature." They're 7. How mature can they be? You don't see the effects now, but when they live with parents who are split up, and then they're bounced from, like, oh, dad wants me on Sundays,
right?
And then dad also wants me on Wednesdays, but mom says no because next day I have to wake up early for whatever tuition, so cannot. Then mom and dad are screaming at each other again. It takes a toll, and I think that parents can learn to do better. I wish there was more of a, when I mention this to various politicians that I've spoken to, they go, oh, but that's like, meddling into people's affairs. But I'm like, if you can tell me that it takes very little space to make a baby, then you should let me be able to do this, right? Help parents before they,
How do you think the government should help?
I think that I'm not even sure they haven't thought about it. I'm pretty sure they have.
Okay.
It's just that it hasn't come into that space yet where they have a lot of support for divorcing couples, but they don't have any support yet for couples that are considering it. I feel that that the first, I think, I've seen some churches do this 5-year, the Catholic Church, right? Every 5 years you go through
And marriage encounter.
Yeah, marriage encounter to renew
I
the
think it
vows.
helps.
Okay.
I'm not saying that all divorces are bad. I'm just saying that a lot of divorces are badly managed. I've seen divorces that have come through that are, wow, both parents really have a lot of time with the children. They really co-parent. I think that's the most important thing. So co-parenting, I think, is a very... It's something that some people are gifted to do. I've seen it, where both parents actually commit to each other. Okay, we are still going to see this journey through together.
Right.
And I think that's amazing. Sorry, what was your question? Your question was about parenting, right?
Parenting in the modern.
Are they doing it right?
Yeah, but we move it to the point where can the government help?
Yeah, sorry, say balik.
Yeah. But it's okay. I like where this is going. So you're saying that the value, or rather the issues today that we have in parenting in Singapore, one of the issues that you can see is how divorces are managed.
Well, increasingly, I think the government has... I see a lot of help. So I see that, because I have friends who go through it. So
Yes.
the system of getting a divorce, getting a more amicable way to meet with your ex-spouse and go through the process of it is better, because from the time...
Family courts, you mean?
Yeah. So
Okay.
from the time that it was 20 years ago where you had to hire a lawyer to now where you can actually work things out.
Mediate.
And then mediate, and then agree. And then after that, both parties go, and you just manage yourselves after that. You kind of try and, for the interest of the child, let's do this. And it's well managed. So I see a lot of that. But I think more can be done, it's straight to BTO, There's no... Are you sure if this is the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with? Actually, Engage Encounter, the Catholic Engage Encounter was very good. Can I just aside, that's where I met your sister. We were the same batch. Yeah, it was a lot of stories to tell, but yeah.
So
it
you
was
were
actually
in
very
Emmy
good.
House or EE over the weekend, right?
Yeah, the one with the prawn poisoning. You can ask her about.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Anyway.
Okay, for viewers and listeners, the Engage Encounter is something organized by the Catholic Church that Catholics will have to go through before tying the knot. Yeah. Just in case people don't know what that means.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, but it's interesting that you've actually brought this whole thing about. The question was actually, our moms and dads, are they really doing a good job in parenting in today's society in Singapore? And then divorce management.
Sorry. So can I go back to the actual question? Can I go back to the actual question?
That was
Which
the
is-
question. That
So,
was the question.
so your question was, are parents managing it well,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, are they doing a good job?
I feel every parent will put in their best. That's my feeling. I don't think any parent goes into parenting thinking, okay, there are some parents that are hey, I'm very busy, so I expect my husband / my wife to pick up the slack. There are such cases. But I think largely, I've seen both parents being very, very involved.
Right.
Although I will say that I think for our technologically advanced society, we can do more to keep our kids from devices from an early age.
Do you think,
Yeah.
before we go to the devices bit, it's good that you brought it up. I will talk about that. But Felix, what do you think? Do you think the folks, our moms and dads in Singapore, do you think they're doing a good job?
They're doing a good job, but I think increasingly under greater constraints and greater duress, because there's a lot more expected of them. And there are so many changes in our education system. Every few years, another minister comes along. Let's introduce this new change. Then you have to adjust and find and maneuver your way around the new system.
Yeah. You're talking about education.
Education, yes.
Right, okay.
So let's have another new change. Let's do it with exams. And another round of soul searching and trying to maneuver the system and see how to get the best out of the system.
So it's stressful, isn't
It's
it?
stressful for the parents, I think. So every educational policy change involves some kind of filtering down to the
Right.
parents
Right.
and how they manage their children and their expectations.
Right. So you guys have said some things that I didn't expect. This question I asked, I mean, I would have half expected things like parents should spend more time playing with their toddlers, and then you
Oh
know,
yeah, that too lah. Yeah.
and spending more time doing this, spending less time doing that. I would have expected these sort of answers, but you guys give me something that's wow. You know, divorces should go better managed. Then education is stressful. Yeah, okay.
This is
you
what
know.
we call curveball.
Yeah, very much curveballs you guys thrown here. I mean, I don't disagree with you. I do. I to an extent, I do. The education curveballs, those are curveballs thrown all the time, depending on who's minister, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. So we got to wing it half the time as parents, I suppose. Yeah. But interesting responses you guys have given me. Theresa, part of the description written alongside your book on Amazon reads, from the first steps to the first kiss, marriage to motherhood, mothers are the coach and counselor in every girl's life. So here in our own society, maybe globally as well, girls don't normally talk to their folks about intimate issues.
Who says?
You do?
This is a man asking,
me-
like maybe maybe
and
that's
my
my
mom,
problem.
No. Me and my dad, surprisingly, I could open up to my dad much more than I could to my mom. But that's me, my generation.
Okay.
With my daughters, I think they feel safer. Like you say, you know, dads hold dads are on a pedestal. So that sets the rule. That sets this is what we are. This is our clan. Okay, and these are our values. So when they do something that is like not quite meeting up to that value, I encourage them to come to me. So we try not to have a judgmental first,
Okay.
first spill, as it were.
Being open, basically.
Yeah. So they would know how to approach me with it like that. I need to talk. Okay, means mom has to put the judge mom on the side, and then counselor mom. Okay, you can tell
But
me first.
your kids find you approachable as a mom then.
I hope so.
What do you think in general? How about in general? Do you think, okay, aside from daughters and sons, any child, do you think that I mean, with your experiences with friends, perhaps even, whether the children are still able to open up to their folks on matters that they might feel that they feel that it's a bit difficult to raise?
I think yes lah. I think with every generation it's that. It took. This is public, right? Actually, no. Everybody knows already. My daughter went out and got a tattoo
Okay.
on her ankle.
Right.
I
How
was-
old
Without
is she
telling
when
you
she?
first.
She was without telling me. She was 17.
Okay.
So I was angry not so much that she got the tattoo, but that it was really ugly and badly done, and we spent so much money trying to laser it off. I
You ma-
made that
you made her
surgeon
laser it
so
off?
much money. It didn't work because she was starting school in
Okay.
a junior college, and I went,
Right.
right? And she's like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. But yeah, she hid it from the dad for months. She was like, she knew she was going to get it, man. Yeah, but she hid it. Thank goodness in a place that she could hide it quite
Okay.
easily. Yeah, so.
So you got her you sent her to get it lasered.
Yeah.
So actually, what was so wrong about it?
Well, because she
Because
had
she didn't ask
broken
you.
the promise, we had an agreement,
Okay.
and I said, okay, why I was against tattoos on the girl is because I was in fashion magazines,
Okay.
and it's so much work to try. You have to touch it up, remove it, unless the shot required that. And I said, if you're going to be in theatre and drama, one day you may be in a role where you need to be. Don't have any things on you, especially words, right? And sometimes images still okay, but words. Okay.
But I don't see how. Okay, basically you're saying that your daughter wasn't open with you about this matter?
Initially, yeah. So, I know it had been on a whim. She just felt like, I want to do something reckless today, and she went out and did it. And then she came back and she didn't. She wore she wore something to hide it like the whole weekend. I mean, like, what did you do?
So the question remains: what do you think? How do you think parents can ensure that kids be more open and honest with them and share stuff?
Actually, she eventually was. She knew she was going to have to tell me anyway. It just took her. I think she had to work through her own. Like, I broke the rules.
Okay.
So she had to go through that whole cycle of like, I broke the rules. Why did I do it? And then she was actually feeling extremely sorry and about it by the time she actually told me. So, yeah, she had reached that point herself. I didn't have to nag her into it. Right?
So her own guilt was driving her forward.
Plus, it was very ugly, and she was like, "Why did I?"
What was it? What was the tattoo? Do you remember?
I'll tell you after the show.
I just
Hope it's not some Looney Tunes character.
Excuse me. I'm the one with the Looney Tunes, man. Come on.
Exactly.
What do you think, Felix? What do you think? Do you think kids? How do you think kids can be more open to parents? Or how should parents actually encourage that?
I suppose always keep an open channel,
Right.
And it helps if you yourself share things. So it's a two-way street. It's not just the child always opening up to you,
Right.
but you need to open up to the child to build that sense of trust.
What do you think? Do you think dads today are able to do stuff like that, being open to their kids?
Yeah, I talk to my son a lot about various things. So things that happen in my life, things that I wish I could have done better with bringing him up.
Dinesh said something very interesting about that. I read it today. He said that I should remember that that always talking to you about how it was like for me back then, I should also recognize what it's like for you today.
Yes, I think that's a good
I think that was really quite powerful, man. It was poignant for me reading that. Yeah. So you're saying that you share with your kids as well stuff that probably you feel that maybe it'll be a bit difficult to share, but do
but
it
you
anyway.
have to break through that barrier.
Right.
So you yourself have to lead by example.
Okay.
So if you break through the barrier of sharing things, then I suppose that opens the intimacy channel,
Right.
so that the backflow of emotion can come from the child as well. And I also sometimes use, if you believe it, Telegram to talk to my son. So sometimes things that he might not want to say to me in person, he sometimes just texts me. So I think that helps as well. So it's a kind of you distance yourself a bit from that touchy feeling through the device. So
Right.
the device sometimes can help.
Yes.
Can help.
Yeah, I think so. Do you think that you said something about devices? How do we best stave the kids away from electronic devices? Do you really think it's necessary to
Yes.
begin with? Why?
I think that, apart from the statistics which show that you can actually correlate the increase in depression and anxiety in children with device
Really?
use. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I think it's a matter of managing it and knowing what they are looking at, listening to, who they're being informed by.
No, but when you say devices, kids statistically, kids go into depression and because of these devices and whatever they see on it. But is it because of bullying?
No. It can be things like, like Instagram. You have an Instagram live and then you have real life. That's one. Another is like if people like, say you have two friends who are good at, dressing up.
Right.
And then one gets like 135 likes, the other gets 35 likes. That's rivalry.
That's why and there's a sense of
Yeah,
envy.
there's a sense of envy. There's a sense of I'm not good enough.
Okay.
What do I need to do? What do I need to show next? You know?
Okay.
So
Okay.
it becomes this. It's very unhealthy.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's also something called FOMO,
Yeah.
fear of losing out, or fear of missing out.
Yeah.
It's so strange, man. Here is one guy doing a podcast. And I'm hearing terms that I feel older than both of you now. Tweens and follow. Oh, jeez. Okay. So devices. So what do you think? What parents should keep the kids away from them as much as possible. Do
Okay,
you do
I've
that?
always told my kids. Okay, I lay down the rule for them. I go like, okay, I will know that you have been on your device too much when I can see behavioral change. When I will notice you're not even focused on talking to me.
Okay.
I can tell, which is when we will have the conversation again. With my youngest, who has she's got a learning disability. It's worse because like she's when she's on the phone, it's like soul sucking. You cannot. You can go, oi, house on fire. She's like, yeah, mom. Yep.
Totally oblivious.
I can relate because I do it.
So you're a grown-up kid.
Yeah. So with her, I actually have an app blocker. So we agree on the timings. I'll go like, okay, from this time to this time, no phone because you got to do your homework. This time to this time, you have to be in bed. So she knows the times is set.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you guys tell us more about what you hope readers can take away from your books?
So I suppose for my book, I would like readers to take away the fact that the communication channel with your sons should always be open.
Okay.
So talk to your son, whether it's in the form of a letter, face-to-face conversation, even a WhatsApp chat. I think it's good to keep that conversation going because it's about tapping into what your son feels at that point in time.
Okay.
It's like pulling a leash. Sometimes you need to let the leash go a little bit longer so that he can run around, but then you yank it a little bit.
Yeah. And pull him back, rein him back in.
Rein back in.
Okay.
But up to a certain point, you have to let go of the leash. Once he turns 16, 17, he's no longer yours.
Really? That young?
Yep, 17, 18. Well, first the army gets you first. Then he's no longer yours for 2 years. Then after that, the girlfriend will come along, and then the studies will come along, and then everything else will come along, including BTO. And then he's no longer yours.
Man, let me tell you. No, not for me.
You have to let go. Learn to let go.
Namala, you have another 7 years.
Yeah.
No, 6, 7 years.
6, 7 years.
Doesn't matter.
Learn to
My
let
boy
go.
is my boy.
Chill. Learn to let go.
Let it go.
Let it go.
No. How about you, Theresa? Can you tell us what do you hope your readers take away from your book?
I actually don't feel it's my book. I really feel it's the book of all these parents. Or
Sure.
these,
All the contributors.
I learned a lot from the book. I felt that because we have moms who have kids who are 4, daughters who are 4, and moms whose children have children. Like
Wow.
their daughters are 30,
Yeah, grandparents.
40, yeah.
Okay.
And I think that if there's anything, it is to, like Felix says, communicate with the child. And I actually see this book as a legacy book for a lot of them.
Yeah.
They share things. I think two of them that really stand out for me. One is a grandmother who had never told her girls the full story of her life, how she grew up with a absentee father, so was very poor, looked down upon by a lot of, the community used to be like that, right? Oh, this one got no father one, so how she grew up, and then she was so determined to do well, so she did very well, became a banker without a university degree, and then looked after her sick mom, her sick parents-in-law as well, and just how she lived her life was so
Right.
amazing. And her girls had no idea, So when she was writing, she was crying and writing. She called me, this is very hard. But it's very good. And she said, I feel very scared. I said, why? Because my kids don't know all this. I went, wow. I feel very privileged.
Yeah.
So I feel that I hope that when women read it, even when daughters read it, they will encourage their moms to tell them the stories. And also for I think for young moms to start that, to start that conversation. I'm always very happy to see moms that write books with their daughters or write books with their children. I have a few friends like that, and because it's something that you create together. You create a history together that future generations can touch and hold, and it's something that they can take with them.
But did any dads write to their daughters in your book?
No, because I was told it's letter to my daughter from the mother.
Well, I play with
I'm just wondering whether or not there'll be any dads out there who are crazy nuts over their daughters who would love to
would have to be twice the size. Twice.
I'm pretty sure there'd be lots of guys out there who would love to have done that too. Maybe there's going to be a second edition,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah?
Yep, fingers crossed.
Yeah,
well,
have dads write
this
to their
sells
daughters.
well.
You have
Please
two
buy a
moms.
copy.
You have two moms. Yeah. Don't worry. I will plug that in for you guys later on. But, the two guys who wrote, the two moms, who wrote for Letter to My Son, right? And what was the reason for that? I mean, you see, like Theresa's book, so sexist. Only the ladies wrote, as if daddies don't write to their daughters.
I'm very obedient one.
I'm an equal opportunity parent.
Why did you have that done?
Well, I wanted a contrast to have the women's point of view writing to their son, so that the reader can take away, so even mothers feel this way about talking to their son.
Do you find them different? The letters
It's
to
very
the
different.
boys different from the
different.
dads?
Yep. So, like for example, quite a few of the fathers talk about NS. Of course, you wouldn't find mothers talking about NS to the son, but quite a few of the fathers talk about how to survive the NX experience.
Yes.
And then quite a few of them also talk about managing money.
Right.
Because a couple of the contributors are fund managers and they deal with money all the time.
Yes.
So to them, money is it's a kind of way of controlling your family, not controlling, but managing your
Managing
family.
your finances.
The finances.
Along with the family.
Along with the family.
Your financial
making sure
planning.
everything is taken care of.
Yeah, being prudent with your money and all that. Okay.
Yeah.
But
So being the
moms,
provider.
what did the moms write? Can you give us a little summary?
One mother wrote about how she learned from the son, which is a reversal. So instead of the mother dishing out life lessons to the son, she took the reverse approach.
Interesting.
Interesting. What the son is, I think, 17 or 18, and she wrote about how she learned from him throughout his years.
Right.
The second mother talked about a bit of about the family history, because the family history is a little bit convoluted.
Okay.
Lots of like second family that
Okay.
the first family never knew about, and so on.
Okay.
So that
I'm
was
going to go back
interesting.
and read those two later on this evening. And Theresa, you see, got two mummies inside the.
You ask my
tell you
permission
lah.
lah, you see one care. I have
Must should have included some dads into that one too. Letter to my daughter.
Could be.
I was already struggling to shoehorn the letters. I had to cut off, right? It's supposed to be 21.
Okay, a bit of giving away too much. Could you tell us what is your favorite story from the book?
Cannot.
Why?
So this would be like picking favorites.
Yeah,
Aiyo.
they're all good.
They're good.
Okay, I will share. They really are all good. Okay,
Okay,
so I
they're all
will
good.
just give you the range we have.
The one that hits you the
women.
hardest.
Hit me the hardest, apart from the one I just described. Okay, so we have stories from like adoptions
Okay.
to one very shocking family history one, which is more shocking than the one I just told you about. To Paige Parker. You know Paige Parker?
Who's
she's
Paige
The
Parker?
wife
She's,
of Jim.
Yeah, Jim Rogers' wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she wrote a very interesting one about how she met their.
So she contributed as well.
Yes, she did. Yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
her story, I liked that very much because it was really. She's very down to earth. When you read it, it's like, you don't really expect it. And the two of them moved their family here, and the two daughters went to Nanyang Primary School and speak perfect Mandarin. So it was about like why did we do that? We never regretted it, and this is your parentage. This is your history.
She's a bit of a tiger mom, right?
She's very
She talks
proudly a
about-
tiger
proudly,
mom.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
So,
I've noticed that besides Paige Parker,
Yeah.
but for both these books, there were interesting people from different walks of life contributed to these books. How did you curate these stories? Was there a criteria that that you guys set out for yourselves
I
for the
think
book?
for mine, like I said, I was looking for as wide a range in age, background, I guess race, countries if I could. So we have two moms that lived overseas and basically their daughters bounced from country to country with them.
Wow.
The struggles that they went through. Yeah, but I think, then of course those that had different types of adversities. So I guess if you were to ask me which one, I felt very, I don't know the word. Okay, I was very moved by it. Was my friend Loretta. She wrote about, she was a cancer survivor.
Okay.
And a single mom. So how and I'd seen her since her kids went to school with my kids. So her daughter went through drama with my middle one. So we spent quite a lot of time together. And what was interesting was that when she had cancer, she didn't tell anybody, but how she survived that. And after she was running, she had cancer, she went back to running, and then the whole thing is chronicled like a running cycle. So from the first kilometer, what she wanted to tell them,
right.
like, you know, the beginnings and all that, and then
right.
like each
mile
one has
markers,
a lesson.
like mile markers.
So by the time you reach the seventh one, it's about you have achieved. So like, you know, this is what I've done with you
Yeah, I
guys. I'm
remember reading
so
that
proud of you.
piece.
Yeah,
It's a very well written piece.
It's very well written. She structured it so beautifully.
I'm gonna have to read your book, and that's for sure.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. I'm definitely gonna read your book. It sounds so interesting. I'm not saying more interesting than yours, but it sounds so interesting.
Your name is in there.
Yeah, I cannot say that too. My name's in there.
So for me, how I
how did you
structured
do
it
it?
was, first I tried to recall for my Facebook feeds fathers who have written about their sons. So like for example, yours. I remember very clearly you spoke quite often about your son and your emotional attachment to him. So that's one reason why I call upon you to write a letter.
Okay.
So that was my first instinct to go through my Facebook feeds and look for friends
Right.
who have sons, obviously, but who have that certain attachment
Okay.
that they would post regularly.
That
about.
is obvious to you.
Yeah, that's obvious.
Okay.
That the
Okay.
love for the son is obvious through the Facebook post. Then I also try to, like Theresa, try to find a wide range of people from all walks of life. So we have an editor, a dentist, fund manager, and so on.
Right.
So different walks of life, different kinds of experience, different ranges. So for example, one of the contributors was in fact my ex-student,
Okay.
my ex-journalism student who was a reporter for a while in the Straits Times, but now he's doing comms,
Right.
corporate communications.
Yes.
And I remember in school he wrote very well. So I called upon him, and yeah, so it's a wide range of people from their 30s all the way to their 70s.
Which story, or rather, which letter, struck you the hardest?
I would have to say, not because I'm on this show.
Oh
yours.
no! Really?
Yep. Your story was the only one that actually made me cry, tear up. And I messaged you, if you remember.
Yeah, you did.
I messaged you and
Yeah.
told you that after reading your draft, I actually teared up. I mean, I've to some degree, I kind of teared up at some of the other letters.
Yes.
But yours was the one that hit me the hardest.
Wow. Gee.
Why? Because I think you talk a lot about how you were trying to achieve your miracle baby, and then the milestones, the difficulties you had in conceiving, and then you gave up. Right? You gave up. You just say, "Is God's will? Let it be." But then God gave you a gift. Yeah, and that was very difficult for you and your wife to get through, but you managed.
I don't know how to react to this one. Wow. Didn't
So
expect
that was the one that
mine. Wow.
hit me the hardest.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Good job, man.
Thank you.
Cheers to that.
Cheers, mate. Yes. And this is where it's been an hour, you know.
Oh gosh,
That's it.
has it?
Yeah, it has been an hour. We're gonna end the show here, and this is what I'm gonna do. People watching this and listening to this KWC episode, letter to my son, letter to my daughter. These are fantastic books, very heartwarming, very real, written by people from all walks of life. Please, please go down to all good bookstores, namely Kinokuniya times the bookshop. And you can also go to the links that you see in this show at the description below. Okay, just go to those links and go grab them. It's fantastic. Again, I've had, for my Kopi Kakis today, Felix Cheong and Theresa Tan. Thank you so very much for having Kopi with me.
Thank you.
Until next time, remember, family is everything. Stay safe. Stay sane. Bye-bye, everyone.